The soldering iron isn't the most dangerous thing in my hands today.
My name is Eddie Parrish, and I used to think I had the perfect life. Keyword, used to, now I know better. Perfect lives are like perfect wiring jobs. They look clean on the surface, but there's always some jackass who's been cutting corners behind the walls. I'm 39, co-owner of Parrish Electric, and until 3 weeks ago, I thought my biggest problem was whether to bid on the new municipal building project. I had a beautiful wife, Maggie, 2 smart daughters who actually talked to me, and a business partnership with my best friend Jules that was making us both rich. Heck, I even liked my mother-in-law. That should have been my first warning sign. Eddie, you need to see this, Mary called from her desk. Mary's been our office manager for 12 years, and she's got the kind of radar that picks up trouble before it even knows it's coming. She was holding a stack of invoices, but her expression said this wasn't about unpaid bills. What's wrong now? I asked, walking over. The Parrish Electric office buzzed around us, phones ringing, guys coming in for assignments, the usual controlled chaos of a successful electrical contracting business. It's not what's wrong, Mary said quietly. It's what doesn't add up. These expense reports from Jules? He's been billing the company for hotel stays, nice ones. The Marriott downtown, twice a week for the past 2 months. I frowned. Maybe he's entertaining clients? Joan, our other office veteran, looked up from her computer. Eddie, honey, I've been doing the books here since before you had your journeyman's license. Jules lives 15 minutes from downtown. Why does he need hotel rooms for client meetings? That's when the first wire sparked in my brain. Not enough to start a fire yet, but enough to make me pay attention. I'll talk to him about it, I said. But Jules wasn't in that day, or the next. When I called, he said he was handling the Riverside Mall renovation personally. Big project, Eddie, lots of moving parts. I'm staying close to the site. Funny thing about lies, they're like bad electrical work. Once you start looking for problems, you find them everywhere. That evening, I got home to find Maggie in the kitchen, making dinner and humming. She looked happy, really happy. The kind of happy that makes a husband either feel great or deeply suspicious. Good day, I asked, kissing her cheek. Wonderful, she said, and I caught a whiff of expensive perfume. New perfume. The HR conference was incredibly informative. HR conference? I told you about it this morning. Downtown at the Marriott, the second wire sparked. Right, I said. How's the salmon? Perfect, she said, smiling. Everything's perfect. Our daughters, Becca and Riley, came down for dinner. 16 and 14, both smart as whips and athletic like their mother. They'd been acting strange lately. Not teenage strange, but carefully polite strange, like they were walking on eggshells around me. Dad, Becca said carefully, what would you do if someone you trusted betrayed you? I looked up from my plate. Where's this coming from? Just wondering. Like if your best friend did something really bad behind your back. Riley kicked her sister under the table. Becca. What? I'm just asking a hypothetical question. Maggie's fork clinked against her plate. Girls, eat your dinner. I'd probably want to know the truth first, I said. Before I did anything I couldn't take back. That night, Maggie said she was tired and went to bed early. I stayed up, supposedly watching TV, but really thinking about hotel bills and new perfume and hypothetical questions about betrayal. The next morning, Maggie's car wouldn't start. Dead battery. I offered to jump it, but she said she'd call AAA and take my truck to work instead. I need to stop by the hardware store anyway, I told her. I'll take your car once it's running. 3 hours later, I was digging through Maggie's glove compartment looking for the registration when I found it. A burner phone. Cheap flip phone. The kind people buy when they don't want their regular phone records showing certain calls. I turned it on. The text messages made my stomach drop through the floor. Dozens of them, going back months, all from Jay. Can't wait to see you tonight. Hotel room 412. I'll be waiting. Your husband's an idiot. He has no idea how lucky he is. And the most recent one from yesterday. Loved watching you come apart in my arms. Same time tomorrow? Maggie's response, can't wait. I love you too. But it was the video that really did it. 47 seconds of my wife and my business partner going at it in what looked like a construction trailer. Maggie's face was clearly visible. So was Jules's. And so was the Parrish Electric logo on the hard hat hanging on the wall behind them. They'd been screwing each other at our job sites. I sat in that car for 20 minutes, feeling like someone had run 240 volts through my chest. Then I started laughing. Not Happy laughing. The kind of laughing that happens when your brain can't process how completely you've been played. My wife was cheating on me with my best friend and business partner. They'd been using company resources to do it, and judging by the timestamps on these messages, they'd been planning this for months. The third wire sparked, and I felt the first real heat of what was coming. I copied everything to my phone, put the burner back where I found it, and drove to the office. Mary took one look at my face and sent Joan to get coffee. "What happened?" she asked. I showed her the messages. Mary's been married for 34 years. She's seen every kind of workplace drama you can imagine. But her face went white as she scrolled through those texts. "Oh, Eddie," she said quietly, "I'm so sorry." "Don't be sorry yet," I said. "Be sorry for them." "What are you going to do?" I looked around the office, at the business I'd helped build, at the employees who depended on us, at the reputation it had taken 15 years to establish. Then I thought about my daughters, asking careful questions about betrayal and loyalty. "I'm going to wire this situation properly," I said. "No shortcuts, no code violations, and definitely no fire hazards." Mary smiled grimly. "Need any help?" "Actually, yeah. I need you to pull all of Jules's expense reports for the past 6 months. Every hotel bill, every client dinner, every business trip. And I need you to cross-reference them with our actual project schedules. Looking for a pattern? Looking for evidence." That evening, I went home and acted normal, made small talk with Maggie, helped the girls with homework, watched the news, but I was really watching my wife, seeing her differently now, noticing how she checked her phone constantly, how she smiled at messages I couldn't see, how she'd started working out more and buying new clothes, how she'd been planning her exit strategy right in front of me. "I might be late tomorrow," she said casually. "Another HR seminar." "At the Marriott?" She paused for just a fraction of a second. "Yes. How did you know?" Lucky guess. That night after she fell asleep, I lay there staring at the ceiling and planning. Jules and Maggie thought they were so clever, but they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd underestimated the guy who'd been wiring buildings since he was 18 years old. They were about to learn that when you cross the wrong wires, the whole system can blow. The next morning, I kissed my cheating wife goodbye and watched her drive off to her HR seminar in my truck. Then I called in sick to work for the first time in 3 years. I had some research to do. Mary had been busy. When I got to the office at noon, she had a folder waiting for me that was 2 inches thick. "Jules has been billing us for hotel rooms twice a week since February," she said. "Always the same hotel, always the same days, Tuesdays and Thursdays. The rooms are always booked for client entertainment, but Joan checked our project schedules. On most of those days, we didn't have any major clients in town. What about the Riverside Mall project? That's the interesting part. Jules has been billing us for on-site supervision, but the mall's project manager says he's only seen Jules there twice in the past month. The electrical work is actually ahead of schedule." Joan looked up from her computer. "Eddie, I hate to pile on, but there's something else. I was reviewing the petty cash reports, and Jules has been taking out $500 every week for miscellaneous project expenses. No receipts, no documentation." I felt that heat building again. How much total? In the past 6 months, about $15,000. $15,000. "That's not even the worst part," Mary said quietly. "I called my friend Linda, who works at the Marriott. She says Jules always books the rooms under the company name, but he's been bringing the same woman every time. Blonde, mid-30s, drives a silver Honda. Maggie drove a silver Honda. They've been using company money to pay for their affair," I said. "It gets worse," Joan said. "Linda says they've been asking about weekend packages. Jules has been telling people at the hotel that he's getting divorced soon and planning to remarry." The room went quiet, except for the hum of fluorescent lights and the distant sound of traffic. "Eddie," Mary said carefully, "what are you going to do?" I thought about my daughters asking about betrayal. I thought about 15 years of friendship with Jules. I thought about 12 years of marriage to Maggie. Then I thought about them laughing at me while they spent my money on hotel rooms. "I'm going to give them exactly what they deserve," I said. "But first, I need to make a phone call." I called my sister Connie. She's a lawyer, family law specifically, and she's been telling me for years that Jules's partnership agreement had some holes in it. "Eddie, you never call during work hours. What's wrong?" I told her everything. Connie was quiet for a long moment, then, "Jesus Christ, Eddie, I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry. Help me fix this." What do you need? I need to know my options, business-wise and personally. Can you be at my office in an hour? I'm on my way. Connie's office is downtown, 3 blocks from the Marriott. As I walked past the hotel, I wondered if my wife and my business partner were up there right now, planning their future with my money. Okay, Connie said, spreading documents across her conference table. Let's start with the business. Jules's partnership agreement has a morality clause. If he's using company resources for personal gain without authorization, you can force him out. What about the money he's stolen? $15,000 in unauthorized expenses. That's embezzlement. You could press charges, but there's a better way. The partnership agreement also has a clause about financial misconduct. If Jules has been stealing from the company, his shares revert to the other partners at fair market value minus damages. Other partners? You and your mother. She still owns 30%, remember? I'd forgotten about that. When Dad died, Mom had insisted on keeping her share of the business. For security, she'd said. What about Maggie? Connie's expression hardened. Adultery isn't grounds for divorce in this state anymore, but fraud is. If she's been hiding assets or planning to leave you while stealing marital property, that changes everything. What do you mean? Those hotel receipts? If she's been using joint credit cards or bank accounts to pay for her affair, that's dissipation of marital assets. The court takes a very dim view of that. I felt the first real smile I'd had in days. So, what's my next move? Document everything. Get copies of all the hotel bills, the expense reports, the text messages. Then we confront them legally and financially. What about personally? Connie grinned. That's up to you. But Eddie, make it count. I drove home that evening with a plan forming in my mind. Maggie was already there, looking flushed and happy from her seminar. How was your day? She asked. Educational, I said. How was the HR conference? Wonderful. We covered employee relations and conflict resolution. Conflict resolution? That's perfect. She looked at me strangely. What do you mean? Nothing. Just thinking about work stuff. That night, I waited until Maggie was in the shower. Then I checked her purse. The burner phone had 3 new messages from Jules. Your husband called the office looking for me. Think he suspects anything? We need to be more careful. I can't wait to not have to sneak around anymore. I took screenshots of everything, then put the phone back. The next morning was Saturday. Maggie said she was going to the gym, then shopping with her friends Tina and Kelsey. I said I was going to catch up on paperwork at the office. Instead, I drove to the Marriott. The desk clerk was a young guy who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. I walked up with my business card and my most professional smile. Hi, I'm Eddie Parrish from Parrish Electric. We've been having some issues with our expense account, and I need to verify some charges. I'm not supposed to give out guest information. I slid a $50 bill across the counter. I'm not asking for guest information. I'm asking about charges to my company credit card. He palmed the money and turned to his computer. What dates? I gave him the dates from Jules's expense reports. The clerk's fingers clicked across the keyboard. Yeah, here it is. Room 412 every Tuesday and Thursday for the past 4 months. Always charged to Parrish Electric. Always the same 2 guests checking in. 2 guests? Mr. Tate and Mrs. Parrish? My wife had been checking into hotel rooms under her married name while cheating on me. The sheer audacity of it was almost impressive. Is there anything else you can tell me about their visits? The clerk glanced around, then leaned closer. Look, I probably shouldn't say this, but they've been asking about our wedding packages. Mr. Tate said they'd be planning a ceremony soon. I thanked him and walked back to my car, feeling like I'd been hit by lightning. They weren't just having an affair. They were planning to get married, which meant they were planning for me to be out of the picture entirely. I drove to my mother's house. Mom's 72, sharp as a tack, and she's never liked Jules. Too slick, she always said. Reminds me of a used car salesman. Eddie, she said when she opened the door. You look terrible. What's wrong? I told her everything. Mom listened without interrupting, her face getting harder with each detail. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Your father always said Jules was trouble, she said finally. I should have listened to him. Mom, I need to know. Are you willing to help me get him out of the company? Honey, I've been waiting for an excuse to get rid of that snake for 10 years. What do you need me to do? Vote with me to remove him as a partner. Done. What else? I might need you to buy out his shares. Mom smiled grimly. I've been saving money for 20 years, waiting for the right investment opportunity. I think I just found it. That afternoon, I went home and found Maggie in the kitchen, making dinner and humming again. She looked so happy, so content, so completely unaware that her world was about to collapse. "Good day?" I asked. "Great day. Tina and Kelsey and I had lunch at that new place downtown. Then we went shopping. Buy anything interesting?" "Just some new lingerie." She smiled secretively. "Thought you might like it." The lingerie wasn't for me. I was sure of that now. "Maggie," I said carefully, "we need to talk." Something in my tone made her look up sharply. "About what?" I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots from the burner phone. The color drained from her face. "Eddie, I can explain." "Can you?" "Because I'm really curious how you explain billing our company credit card for hotel rooms where you've been screwing my business partner." She opened her mouth, then closed it. For the first time in our marriage, Maggie was speechless. "How long?" I asked. "Eddie? How long, Maggie?" "6 months," she whispered. "And you were planning to leave me for him?" She straightened up, and I saw a flash of the woman I'd married. "Yes, Jules and I are in love, Eddie. Real love. Not this comfortable roommate situation we've been living in." "Comfortable roommate situation? When's the last time you surprised me? When's the last time you made me feel special? Jules makes me feel alive again." "With my money." "It's not about money. $15,000 in hotel bills says it's about money." Her face flushed. "You're being petty." "Petty?" I laughed, and it wasn't a nice sound. "Maggie, you've been stealing from me and lying to our daughters. You've been planning to destroy our family so you can play house with my business partner, and I'm being petty." "The girls will understand." "Will they? Because Becca's been asking me about betrayal and loyalty." "I think they already know, Maggie. I think they've been watching you lie to my face every day, and they've been trying to figure out how to tell me." Tears started running down her cheeks. "Eddie, please, we can work this out." "No," I said quietly. "We can't. Because you didn't just cheat on me, Maggie. You tried to steal my business, my money, and my children. And you did it with a smile on your face. What are you going to do?" I looked at my wife, really looked at her, for what I knew would be the last time. "I'm going to teach you both what happens when you cross the wrong wires." Monday morning, I got to the office early. Mary and Joan were already there, and they'd been busy over the weekend. "We pulled everything," Mary said, handing me a thick folder. "Every expense report, every credit card charge, every petty cash withdrawal. Jules has been stealing from the company for 8 months. It's not just the hotel rooms," Joan added. "He's been billing personal expenses to the company. Dinners, clothes, even car payments. We're looking at close to $30,000 in fraudulent charges." I felt that familiar heat building. "Where is he?" "Not in yet. But Eddie, there's something else. I got a call from Tom Bradley at First National. Jules tried to take out a loan against the company assets on Friday." "He what?" $100,000 business loan using Parish Electric as collateral. Tom called because the paperwork looked suspicious. Jules forged your signature on the application. Now I was seeing red. "He tried to mortgage our company?" "Tom flagged it as potential fraud and called the police. Jules is going to have some explaining to do." I called Connie and told her about the loan application. "That's a felony," she said. "Forgery and attempted fraud. Eddie, this changes everything. Jules isn't just cheating with your wife. He's trying to steal your entire business." "What's my next move?" "Emergency board meeting. You, your mother, and Jules. Confront him with everything you've got and vote him out before he can do any more damage." I called Jules. He answered on the first ring, sounding cheerful and relaxed. "Eddie, how was your weekend?" "Interesting. We need to talk. Emergency board meeting, 10 o'clock. His tone shifted. "What's this about?" "You'll find out. Conference room, 10 sharp. Don't be late." I hung up and called my mother. "It's time. I'll be there in an hour." At exactly 10 o'clock, Jules walked into our conference room looking nervous. He dressed up. Expensive suit, silk tie, the works. Like he was going to court, which, in a way, he was. "What's this about, Eddie?" he asked, taking his usual seat across from me. "Financial irregularities," I said. "Mom, thanks for coming." My mother walked in and took the chair at the head of the table. Jules looked surprised to see her. "Mrs. Parrish, I didn't know you were going to be here." "I own 30% of this company, Julian. I have a right to be here." I spread the expense reports across the table. Jules, we need to discuss some discrepancies in your billing. He glanced at the papers and his face went pale. Eddie, I can explain. Please do. Explain why you've been billing the company for hotel rooms twice a week for the past 6 months. Client entertainment? With my wife? The room went dead silent. Jules stared at me, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. That's right, I continued. I know about the affair. I know about the hotel rooms. I know about the $15,000 you've stolen from our company to pay for your little love nest. Eddie, I'm not finished. I pulled out another folder. I also know about the attempted loan fraud. You tried to mortgage Parish Electric without my consent, using forged documents. Jules stood up abruptly. You don't understand. Sit down, my mother said sharply. You're going to listen to what my son has to say. Jules sat. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You're going to resign as a partner, effective immediately. You're going to sign over your shares to the company for fair market value minus the $30,000 you've stolen. And you're going to pray that I don't press charges for fraud and embezzlement. You can't do this. Actually, we can. I slid a copy of the partnership agreement across the table. Section 12, subsection 4. Financial misconduct and moral turpitude are grounds for immediate termination of partnership rights. Jules grabbed the document and started reading. As he read, his face got redder and redder. This is ridiculous. You can't prove I've done anything wrong. I pulled out my phone and played the video I'd found on Maggie's burner phone. The sound of Jules and my wife moaning filled the conference room. I can prove everything, I said quietly. Jules lunged across the table at me. I was ready for him. I'd been expecting this moment for days. He swung wildly, catching me on the shoulder. I grabbed his wrist and twisted, using his momentum to slam him face first into the conference table. His expensive silk tie got caught in the table's cable management system. Eddie! My mother shouted. Jules thrashed around, trying to free himself, but the tie was stuck tight. His face was turning red from the pressure. You son of a witch! He gasped. You can't do this to me! I'm not doing anything to you, I said, stepping back. You did this to yourself. I walked to the wall and triggered the building's fire alarm system. Immediately, the sprinkler system activated, soaking Jules where he was trapped against the table. The office erupted in chaos. Employees started evacuating, following our emergency procedures. But everyone could see into the glass-walled conference room where Jules was stuck to the table, soaking wet, screaming obscenities. Mary appeared in the doorway with a pair of scissors. Need some help? Cut him loose, I said. She snipped the tie and Jules stumbled backward, dripping wet and furious. This isn't over, he snarled. Yes, it is, my mother said. She'd stayed calm through the whole thing. You have 24 hours to clean out your office and sign the resignation papers. If you're not gone by tomorrow morning, Eddie will press charges for fraud, embezzlement, and attack. Attack? He attacked me. Really? Mary held up her phone. Because I have video of you lunging across the table at him. Looks like self-defense to me. Jules looked around the room at the faces staring back at him. Every employee in the building had seen him lose control, seen him get humiliated, seen him trapped and helpless. His reputation was finished. I'll be back, he said. No, I said quietly. You won't. He stormed out, leaving puddles of water and the ruins of his dignity behind. The rest of the day was a blur of paperwork, phone calls, and damage control. Word spread fast in our industry. Jules Tate was out at Parish Electric, and there were rumors of fraud and embezzlement. By 5 o'clock, I'd gotten calls from 3 competitors trying to poach him, and 2 clients asking if Parish Electric was still financially stable. We're fine, I told each of them. Better than fine. We've removed a problem, and we're moving forward stronger than ever. That evening, I drove home expecting another confrontation with Maggie. Instead, I found the house empty, except for my daughters. Where's your mother? I asked. Becca and Riley exchanged glances. She packed a suitcase and left about an hour ago, Becca said quietly. She said she was going to stay with a friend for a few days. Did she say, which friend? No, but she was crying, Riley said. Dad, what's going on? I sat down on the couch between my daughters and tried to figure out how to explain that their mother had been cheating on me with my business partner and that both of them had been stealing from our family. Your mom and I are having some problems, I said finally. Is it because of Mr. Tate? Becca asked. I looked at her sharply. What do you know about Mr. Tate? We're not stupid, Dad. We've seen the way he looks at Mom, and we've seen the way she acts around him. How long have you known? A couple of months, Riley said. We didn't know what to do. We didn't want to hurt you, but we didn't want you to look stupid either. I pulled both girls close. You're not responsible for this. None of this is your fault. What's going to happen? Becca asked. I don't know yet, but whatever happens, you two are my priority. Everything I do from now on is about protecting you and our family. What about Mom? Your mom made some choices. Now, she has to live with the consequences. That night, after the girls went to bed, I sat in my kitchen and planned the next phase. Jules was out of the business, but he wasn't out of my life. Not yet. And Maggie was probably with him right now, planning their next move. They thought they could steal my company, my money, and my children, then ride off into the sunset together. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Tuesday morning brought the first surprise. I was having coffee in the kitchen when my phone rang. It was Tom Bradley from First National Bank. Eddie, we've got a problem. Jules Tate was here yesterday afternoon, and he's claiming you're the one who committed fraud. He says you forged his signature on loan documents and that he's the victim of a conspiracy. He what? He's got a lawyer with him, and they're demanding we investigate you for financial crimes. Eddie, this is serious. If there's any truth to what he's saying, Tom, you've known me for 15 years. Have I ever lied to you about anything? No, but Jules tried to take out a loan against company assets without my knowledge or consent. I have documentation proving that he's been embezzling from Parish Electric for months. If he wants to make this a legal matter, I'm ready. I hung up and immediately called Connie. They're going on the offensive, she said after I explained. It's a classic strategy. Accuse the victim of the crimes you committed, but Eddie, this could get ugly fast. How ugly? If Jules can convince anyone that you're the one who's been stealing, you could face criminal charges. And if Maggie backs up his story, she wouldn't. Eddie, she's been lying to you for months. She's stolen from you, cheated on you, and now she's living with the man she cheated with. What makes you think she won't lie about this too? I felt that familiar heat building again. What do I need to do? Document everything. Get witness statements from Mary and Joan about Jules's behavior. Get copies of all the hotel receipts, expense reports, everything, and Eddie, prepare for war. I spent the morning at the office working with Mary and Joan to compile evidence. Every fraudulent expense report, every forged signature, every unauthorized charge. By noon, we had a paper trail that would make a prosecutor salivate. That's when Jules showed up. He walked into the office like he owned the place, wearing a different expensive suit and flanked by a lawyer who looked like he charged $1,000 an hour. Eddie Parrish? The lawyer said. I'm Richard Heller, representing Mr. Tate. We need to discuss the illegal termination of my client's partnership and the fraudulent accusations you've been making. Get out, I said. Mr. Parrish, my client has evidence that you've been embezzling from Parish Electric and using him as a scapegoat. If you don't agree to reinstate his partnership immediately, we'll be forced to take legal action. I looked at Jules. He was smirking, confident that he'd outmaneuvered me. Jules, I said quietly, you've got 10 seconds to get out of my office before I call the police. Actually, Heller said, we're here to make you an offer. My client is willing to forget about the embezzlement charges if you agree to sell him your shares in Parish Electric for fair market value. I started laughing. I couldn't help it. The sheer audacity of it was almost impressive. Let me get this straight, I said. Jules steals $30,000 from my company, sleeps with my wife, tries to forge loan documents, and now he wants me to sell him my business? My client denies those allegations. Mary, I called, show Mr. Heller the evidence. Mary walked over with our folder of documentation. Heller flipped through it, his confident expression fading with each page. This proves nothing, he said, but his tone had changed. It proves your client is a thief and a liar, I said. And if he doesn't leave my office right now, I'm going to prove something else. What's that? That he's also a coward? Jules stepped forward. You want to settle this right here, Eddie? I thought you'd never ask. We faced off in the middle of the office, with Mary, Joan, and half our employees watching. Jules was bigger than me, but I'd been doing physical work my whole life. He'd been sitting behind a desk, getting soft. He swung first, a wild haymaker that I ducked easily. I came up with an uppercut that caught him square in the solar plexus. He doubled over, gasping. Had enough? I asked. He straightened up and charged me like a bull. I sidestepped and used his momentum to send him crashing into the supply closet. The door slammed shut behind him. I turned the lock. "Let me out," Jules shouted, pounding on the door. "In a minute," I said. I walked to the wall and triggered the fire alarm again. The sprinkler system activated, but this time I'd isolated it to just the supply closet. Water started seeping under the door. "You're crazy!" Jules screamed. "I'm thorough," I said. Heller was backing toward the exit. "This is attack and false imprisonment. I'm calling the police." "Go ahead," I said. "Tell them a man broke into my office, threatened me, and attacked me. Tell them I defended myself." Mary held up her phone again. "Got it all on video. Clear case of self-defense." I let Jules out after 5 minutes. He was soaked, furious, and completely humiliated in front of my entire staff. "This isn't over," he snarled as Heller dragged him toward the door. "Yes, it is," I said. "And Jewel, stay away from my family." That afternoon, word of the confrontation spread through our industry like wildfire. By 5 o'clock, I'd gotten a dozen calls from other contractors, clients, and suppliers. Everyone wanted to know what was really going on at Parrish Electric. I told them the truth. Jules had been stealing from the company and was no longer a partner. Parrish Electric was stronger than ever, and we were moving forward without him. But I knew Jules wasn't done. Men like him don't give up easily, and he still had one card left to play. Maggie. I drove home that evening to find a process server waiting for me. "Eddie Parrish?" "That's me." He handed me a thick envelope. "You've been served." I opened it in my driveway. Divorce papers filed by Maggie. But not just any divorce papers. She was asking for full custody of the girls, half of everything I owned, including my share of Parrish Electric, and she was accusing me of being dangerous and financially reckless. Every accusation was a lie, but they were detailed, specific lies. Someone had coached her on exactly what to say to cause maximum damage. I called Connie. "They're trying to destroy you completely," she said after reviewing the papers. "If even half of these accusations stick, you could lose everything." "Can they make it stick?" "Not if we fight back." "But Eddie, this is going to get nasty. Maggie's claiming you've been embezzling from your own company, that you've been violent with her and the girls, and that you're mentally unstable." "The girls will never back up those lies." "They won't have to. In custody hearings, the court errs on the side of caution. If there's any doubt about your stability, they'll give Maggie temporary custody while the case proceeds." "How long could that take? Months, maybe years?" I sat in my car outside my own house reading lies about myself written by the woman I'd loved for 12 years. She was trying to take my children, my business, and my reputation. But she'd made one crucial mistake. She'd underestimated how far I was willing to go to protect what was mine. I walked into the house and found Becca and Riley in the living room, looking worried. "Dad?" Becca said. "Mom called. She says we need to pack some clothes and come stay with her for a while." "Did she say why?" "She said you've been having problems and that it's not safe for us to be here." I knelt down in front of my daughters. "Girls, I need you to listen to me very carefully. Your mother and I are getting divorced. She's going to say some things about me that aren't true. She might try to convince you that I'm dangerous or that I've hurt her. We know you'd never hurt anyone," Riley said, "but other people don't know that. And your mother is going to try to use you to hurt me." "What do we do?" Becca asked. "You tell the truth, always. No matter what anyone asks you, no matter what anyone promises you, you tell the truth." "What is the truth?" I looked at my daughters. Smart, brave, loyal girls who were about to be caught in the middle of a war they didn't start. "The truth is that your mother has been lying to all of us for months. The truth is that she's been stealing from our family to pay for her affair. And the truth is that I will do whatever it takes to protect you, even if it means fighting the dirtiest fight of my life." "We're with you, Dad," Becca said. "All the way," Riley added. That night, I lay in bed planning my counterattack. Maggie and Jules thought they could destroy me with lies and legal maneuvers. They were about to learn that I'd been studying their playbook for months, and I was ready to show them how the game was really played. Wednesday morning, I woke up to find my story on the front page of the business section of our local newspaper. The headline read, "Local contractor accused of embezzlement and domestic violence." The article was a hatchet job. Anonymous sources claimed I'd been stealing from Parrish Electric for years. There were quotes from former employees saying I had anger management issues, and there was a statement from Maggie's lawyer claiming she feared for her safety and the safety of our children. Every word was carefully crafted to destroy my reputation without technically crossing the line into libel. I called the reporter, Janet Morrison. I'd known her for years. She'd covered several of our major projects. Janet, what the heck is this? Eddie, I'm sorry, but I have to report the news. Your wife's attorney provided documentation. Fake documentation. Janet, you've known me for 10 years. Do you really think I'm capable of what they're accusing me of? She was quiet for a moment. No, but Eddie, I have to go where the evidence leads. What if I could provide you with evidence that Maggie and Jules have been embezzling from my company? What if I could prove they've been lying about everything? I'd be very interested in seeing that evidence. Give me 24 hours. I hung up and called Connie. We're going nuclear. What do you need? I need you to file a countersuit. Fraud, embezzlement, adultery, dissipation of marital assets, everything we've got. And I need you to request an emergency hearing on custody. Eddie, are you sure? Once we do this, there's no going back. They made the first move. Now I'm going to end this war. I spent the morning at the office with Mary and Joan, preparing our evidence. Every hotel receipt, every forged signature, every fraudulent expense report. We organized it chronologically, showing a clear pattern of theft and deception going back 8 months. Then I did something that would have been unthinkable a week ago. I called Jules. Eddie? He sounded surprised. What do you want? I want to make a deal. What kind of deal? Meet me at Murphy's Bar at 6 o'clock. Come alone. Why should I trust you? Because I'm offering you a way out of this mess that doesn't involve prison. Murphy's Bar is a dive on the south side of town, the kind of place where construction workers go to drink away their problems. I got there early and took a booth in the back. Jules showed up at 6 sharp, looking nervous. He'd traded his expensive suits for jeans and a polo shirt, but he still looked out of place. What's this about, Eddie? Sit down. He slid into the booth across from me. You said something about a deal. Here's the deal. You and Maggie drop all the charges and accusations against me. You sign a confession admitting to embezzlement. You pay back every penny you stole plus interest, and you both disappear from my life forever. And in return, I don't press criminal charges. You don't go to prison. Jewel laughed. That's not much of a deal for me. It's better than what's going to happen if you don't take it. What's that supposed to mean? I pulled out my phone and showed him a video. It was security footage from the Marriott, showing him and Maggie checking into their hotel room. Where did you get this? I have friends, lots of friends, people who've been watching you two for weeks. His face went pale. You've been having us followed. I've been documenting your crimes. Jules, I have video of you forging my signature. I have recordings of you lying to clients about project costs. I have bank records showing you've been stealing from the company since last February. You're bluffing. I played another recording. It was Jules on the phone with the supplier, inflating the cost of materials and pocketing the difference. That's illegal wiretapping, he said, but his voice was shaking. Actually, it's not. You were using a company phone, and I own the company. I have every right to monitor business communications. Jules stared at the phone, realizing how completely I had him. What about Maggie? What about her? She's not going to go along with this. She thinks she can take you for half of everything. Maggie's about to learn that I've been playing chess while she's been playing checkers. I stood up to leave, then turned back. Jules, you got 24 hours to convince her. After that, I release everything to the press, the police, and the state attorney's office. Eddie, wait. 24 hours. I walked out of the bar, leaving him staring at his phone and the evidence of his own crimes. That night, I got a call from Becca. She was crying. Dad, Mom wants us to sign papers saying you hit her. What? She says if we don't sign them, she'll lose the custody case and we'll never see her again. Where are you? At Mr. Tate's apartment. Dad, we don't want to sign anything. We know you never hit Mom. Don't sign anything. I'm coming to get you. Mom says if you come here, she'll call the police and say you're violating a restraining order. What restraining order? She got one yesterday. She says you can't come within 100 feet of her. My blood ran cold. Maggie was using my own daughters as hostages. Becca, listen to me very carefully. You and Riley need to get out of that apartment. Can you walk to the McDonald's on 5th Street? I think so. Go there now. I'll pick you up in 20 minutes. What if Mom finds out we left? Let me worry about Mom. I drove to the McDonald's and found my daughters waiting in a booth, looking scared and confused. They'd never been in the middle of an adult conflict like this before. Dad, Riley said as we drove home, why is Mom doing this? Your mother is scared, I said. She's made some bad choices and now she's trying to avoid the consequences. But why is she lying about you? because the truth would make her look bad. And she thinks if she can make me look worse, people will feel sorry for her. That's not fair. No, it's not. But life isn't always fair, girls. Sometimes good people get hurt by bad people. The question is what you do about it. What are we going to do? I looked at my daughters in the rearview mirror. They were counting on me to fix this, to protect them, to make everything right again. We're going to fight back, I said, and we're going to win. That night, after the girls went to bed, I made a series of phone calls. First, I called Janet Morrison and told her I had the evidence she wanted. Then I called Tom Bradley at the bank and told him I was ready to press charges against Jules for attempted fraud. Finally, I called the state attorney's office and told them I had evidence of a conspiracy to commit embezzlement and fraud. By morning, the wheels would be in motion. Maggie and Jules had 24 hours to surrender. If they didn't, I was going to destroy them both. Thursday morning brought chaos. I woke up to find news vans parked outside my house and reporters shouting questions at my front door. Mr. Parrish, is it true you filed countercharges against your wife? Mr. Parrish, how do you respond to allegations of domestic violence? I called Connie. What the heck is going on? Maggie's lawyer held a press conference yesterday evening. She's claiming you threatened her and Jules, that you've been stalking them, and that you're trying to use your connections to frame them for crimes they didn't commit. She's spinning this as me being the aggressor. It gets worse. She's got Jules backing up her story. They're both claiming you've been embezzling from Parrish Electric and that they discovered it months ago. They say that's why you're trying to destroy them, to cover up your own crimes. I looked out my front window at the media circus in my yard. They're good. I'll give them that. Eddie, this is serious. The court of public opinion is turning against you. If we don't do something dramatic, you're going to lose everything. What do you suggest? We need to get ahead of this story. We need to go public with our evidence before they can spin it any further. Set up a press conference for this afternoon. And Connie, make sure Janet Morrison is there. I spent the morning at the office preparing for what I knew would be the fight of my life. Mary and Joan had organized all our evidence into a presentation that would make a prosecutor proud. Eddie, Mary said quietly, are you sure about this? Once you go public, there's no taking it back. They started this war, I said. I'm going to finish it. At 2:00, I walked into the conference room at Connie's law office to face a room full of reporters, cameras, and skeptical faces. Ladies and gentlemen, Connie began, my client has been the victim of a systematic campaign of fraud, embezzlement, and character assassination. Today, we're going to show you the evidence. I stepped to the podium and looked directly into the cameras. My name is Eddie Parrish. For the past week, I've been accused of crimes I didn't commit by people I trusted with my life. Today, I'm going to show you who the real criminals are. I started with the hotel receipts, showing the pattern of company funds being used to pay for Jules and Maggie's affair. Then I showed the forged signatures, the falsified expense reports, the attempted loan fraud. This is $30,000 in documented theft, I said. All of it committed by Julian Tate and enabled by my wife, Margaret Parrish. I played the security footage from the Marriott, showing Jules and Maggie checking into their hotel room. This video was taken on March 15th, the same day Jules submitted an expense report claiming he was meeting with clients in Columbus. He was actually 90 miles away, having closeness with my wife in a hotel room paid for with company funds. The room was dead silent except for the clicking of camera shutters. Then I played the recording of Jules inflating material costs. This conversation took place on April 3rd. Jules is discussing a markup scheme with the supplier, splitting the profits from overcharging our clients. I could see the reporters frantically taking notes, realizing they'd been fed a false story. Finally, I said, I want to address the allegations of domestic violence and threats. I played a recording from my phone. It was the conversation I'd had with Jules at Murphy's bar, but I'd edited it carefully to remove any context that might make me look bad. As you can hear, I offered Mr. Tate a chance to confess and make restitution. At no point did I threaten him with violence. What the reporters couldn't hear was the implied threat, the cold calculation in my voice, the way I'd systematically destroyed Jules's confidence. Mr. Parrish, Janet Morrison said, how do you respond to your wife's claims that you've been controlling and emotionally harmful? I challenge her to provide one piece of evidence, one photograph, one medical record, one witness who will testify under oath that I've ever laid a hand on her or my daughters. What about the restraining order? The restraining order was obtained using false testimony. My wife claimed I threatened her, but she has no proof because it never happened. Another reporter raised her hand. Mr. Parrish, what do you want to happen now? I looked directly into the camera, knowing that Maggie and Jules were watching. I want justice. I want the people who stole from my company to face criminal charges. I want my daughters to know that their father fought for them. And I want everyone in this city to know what happens when you try to destroy an innocent man. The press conference lasted an hour. By the time it was over, I could see the shift in the room. The reporters who'd come expecting to grill a wife-beater were now looking at me like a victim who'd fought back. That evening, the story led every local newscast. The headlines had changed from "Contractor accused of misconduct" to "Embezzlement scandal rocks local business." My phone started ringing with calls of support from clients, suppliers, and other contractors. The tide of public opinion was turning, but I wasn't done yet. At 8 o'clock, I got a call from Jules. "Eddie, we need to talk. I'm listening. This has gone too far. People are calling me a thief and a homewrecker. I can't show my face anywhere in this city." "That's what happens when you are a thief and a homewrecker. I want to make a deal. I offered you a deal yesterday. You turned it down. I'm ready to take it now." "Too late. The offer's off the table." "Eddie, please, I'll confess to everything. I'll pay back every penny. Just make this stop." "You should have thought about that before you went to the press with lies about me." "What do you want?" I smiled, even though he couldn't see it. "I want you to understand what it feels like to lose everything." I hung up. An hour later, Maggie called. "Eddie, you've destroyed us. Are you happy now?" "I'm getting there. The girls hate me. My friends won't return my calls. I can't go anywhere without people staring at me. Welcome to my world from last week. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry I cheated on you. I'm sorry I lied. I'm sorry about everything." "Are you sorry you got caught, or are you sorry you did it?" She was quiet for a long moment. "Both." "Not good enough." "What do you want from me?" "I want you to go to court tomorrow and withdraw all your accusations against me. I want you to admit that you lied about the domestic violence, the threats, everything." "And if I do that?" "I'll consider not pressing charges for perjury." "Eddie, please, I'm begging you. You should have thought about that before you tried to take my children away from me." Friday morning, I sat in the courthouse watching my wife confess to lying under oath. She looked broken, defeated, like a woman who'd gambled everything and lost. Jules sat beside her, equally destroyed. His expensive clothes couldn't hide the fact that he was a man who'd lost everything that mattered to him. The judge was not sympathetic. "Mrs. Parrish, you've wasted this court's time with false accusations of domestic violence. You've attempted to manipulate the custody process with perjured testimony. I'm referring this matter to the state attorney for possible prosecution." "Your Honor," Maggie's lawyer said, "my client is prepared to make full restitution. Your client is prepared to face the consequences of her actions." The judge interrupted. "As for custody, I'm awarding temporary full custody to Mr. Parrish pending a complete investigation." I felt a surge of satisfaction as the judge's gavel came down. My daughters were safe. My business was secure. My reputation was restored. But I still wasn't done. That afternoon, I held another press conference. This time, it was at the construction site where Jules and Maggie had filmed their little scandalous video. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, standing in front of the Parish Electric sign, "I want to thank you for your support during this difficult time. Justice has been served and my family is beginning to heal." "Mr. Parrish," a reporter called out, "what's next for you and Parish Electric?" "We're moving forward. We're stronger than ever, and we're proof that in America, the truth still matters." "What about your wife and Julian Tate?" I looked directly into the camera, knowing they were watching. They made their choices. Now they have to live with the consequences. That evening, I drove home to find my daughters waiting for me with dinner prepared and homework spread across the kitchen table. Normal life, or what passed for normal after everything we'd been through. "Dad," Becca said, "I'm proud of you." "For what?" "For fighting for us, for not giving up, for showing us what integrity looks like," Riley added. I looked at my daughters, smart, brave, loyal girls who'd been through heck and come out stronger. "I love you both," I said. "We love you too, Dad." Later that night, after the girls went to bed, I sat in my kitchen and thought about everything that had happened. A week ago, I'd thought I had the perfect life. Now I knew the truth. I had something better. I had a life built on honesty, hard work, and the love of people who really knew me. Maggie and Jules had tried to destroy that. Instead, they'd made it stronger. My phone buzzed with a text message. It was from an unknown number. "You win, Eddie. I hope you're satisfied." I deleted the message without responding. Some victories don't need words. They speak for themselves.